Hey everyone, a quick update on my channel and about my absence from creating content. I recently bought a Yeti microphone. It came highly recommended, and one of my big dreams for my channel is to improve the sound quality. However, the headaches began. All of a sudden, my audio was glitching out. Certain sounds in my speech weren't being picked up when I was talking into the mic. For example, if I were to say apples and bananas, the audio picked up would sound like apples and bananas. I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. Naturally, I assumed something was wrong with my mic. Nothing online helped, no YouTubers were able to help. I'm not a technologically savvy person, so I had no idea the technical terms I should have been using to properly articulate myself, so I just assumed my Blue Yeti was a remorseful purchase. But then I had an idea. I'd use my previous mics, just to see if that would work. Nope. Every single microphone from my past had the same exact problem with picking up my audio. Then I thought to myself, maybe it's not the mic that's the problem at all. Maybe it's the program I'm using to capture audio and video, Logitech Capture. So I decided to ditch that and use a different platform. Go figure on how stupid I am. I learned that Filmora 11 does indeed have a video and audio capture option. I didn't know that. I never thought to ask because I assumed it was a done and done editing program and that's it. I was wrong. I had hope at last. But in the famous words by Morgan Freeman in my favorite movie,
hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane.
As it turns out, same damn audio problems for all of my microphones, external and internal. I now no longer believe that the problem is either my mics or any of the audio video capture programs I've used. It has to be a hardware issue. I have to believe that my HP Envy is the problem. I may take it in to get it looked at, see if it's an easy problem to fix, but for now, a good friend of mine made the suggestion to use my phone as my means of video and audio capture. Having seen the quality when I make my quick videos on Instagram, the quality isn't horrible. I don't know if I want to use it forever, but I have a means to make content once again. So let's call this a demo of my new sound quality and see what happens. Actors. We love them, we hate them, the smart ones don't care, but everyone has an opinion. As one of the not smart ones, I do have a list of actors that I don't really like, but here's the rub. I don't like these actors, but credit where credit is due, they have done at least one project that I enjoyed for one reason or another. Let's talk about those reasons now. This is my list of the top actors that I usually don't like, but have done at least one movie that I did. Number 7. Javier Bardem. I'm putting this gentleman low on the list because he's had a pretty good track record recently. But there was a good stretch of time where I couldn't stand him as an actor. The Road's Not Taken, a forgettable flick about him having dementia, Mother, an adaptation of the biblical story of Genesis, which I wildly hated when I first saw it. Nowadays, I think it's just an unpleasant film. And Pirates Dead Men Tell No Tales, the absolute worst Pirates movie, as far as I know. I've weirdly never seen On Stranger Tides. He just didn't have a lot of potential early on that I saw. Obviously, things changed. Between an unexpectedly charming performance in Lyle Lyle Crocodile,
turn that dull and dusty solo to a dazzling duet. La 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 la, la 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 la.
And his career best performance in Being the Ricardos,
I thought you said Fred and Ethel had to be fighting and they weren't mad at each other.
They are.
I thought you said they weren't speaking to each other.
They aren't.
even his bit role in Dune was pretty damn solid. So he's certainly shining in a different light these days for me.
We're ending on a sky-high note somehow. Body, you were on.
Number 6. Shia LaBeouf. Unlike most people of my generation, I didn't grow up watching Even Stevens, where Shia is mostly known in his youth. Nor have I ever seen the movie Holes, which is beloved by many a 90s kid. My first set of films that put him on my radar were everything after Holes. Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, I, Robot, and Constantine. but I never much cared about him as an actor. He existed, he clocked in and did his job, enough said. I do acknowledge that I enjoyed him enough in the first Transformers, but the subsequent sequels took his style of acting way too far and became annoying. That annoyance carried over for a long time, thanks in no small part to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the worst of the Indiana Jones movies up to that point. Then his personal problems became what he was known for.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
I can't say that's a bad thing, as he was just being weird and the general public was confused as to what was going on with them. That was until his relationship with singer FKA Twigs became public and controversy erupted. Make no mistake, I don't know the facts, but seeing him on screen sours my experience a lot of times. This made my viewing of Pieces of a Woman especially uncomfortable, as there is a scene where he assaults his on-screen wife. Yikes. Still, with all that said, I can't deny that he is capable of churning out a good performance. And his undisputed best role is him playing a fictionalized version of his own father in his own writing debut, Honey Boy. His acting style was put to wonderful use, and he owns the film. Emotionally charged, reprehensible, but an all-around fantastic outing for the man. I don't much trust him, and I don't think he's a great actor all of the time. But I can't say that he's bad when he so clearly has been good.
No, stone crumbles, people fucking die. That's the real world. The only thing that's gonna live on is stories, fables, dreams.
Number 5. Jason Statham. Oh, I'm gonna catch some flack for this one. Jason Statham is one of the most overrated action stars this generation. He's to the action scene as Vince Vaughn was to rom-coms back in the late 2000s, playing the same character over and over again in mediocre and forgettable films. The Transporter and its sequels, Cellular, Death Race, Safe, and Parker. Totally forgettable, all of them. Crank, popular to most, whatever to me. Never even bothered to see the sequel. And the creme de la shit, In the Name of the King, working with the only genius in the industry, AWOL.
You have to really wake up and you have to see me what I am. I'm the only genius in the whole fucking business. Goodbye.
Sure, he's been in some popular flicks in the past that I happen to like, such as Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and the Expendables and Fast and Furious movies, but it was never him that I liked in them. It was always the other actors. His popularity was so annoying to me that I ended up skipping most of his films if they came out. I was that sick and tired of him. But then came an unexpected surprise. Perhaps not the most renowned flick in his library, but certainly one of my personal favorites, Paul Feig's Spy. It's got so many reasons to love it. Melissa McCarthy is legit funny. Boy, that's rare these days. You have Rose Byrne, Jude Law, Allison goddamn Janney. This had a golden cast. But lo and behold, it was Statham that stole the show. Not only was he really funny, but he seemed to be a parody of himself. I guess I expected everyone to do a good job, but Statham was one hell of a curveball. He sadly didn't retain that momentum in subsequent projects, but I'll always have this one.
This arm has been ripped off completely and reattached with this fucking arm.
I don't know that that's possible. I mean, medically.
Number 4. Timothée Chalamet. Similar to Javier Bardem, the times have certainly changed, but Chalamet and his pretentious-ass name was one of the most overrated actors to me for a long time. I wasn't about to argue that he had talent and connections, as he was snatched up by some incredible filmmakers to be in their movies, which I found to be underwhelming outings. Call Me By Your Name by Luca Guadagnino about Chalamet being a closet gay young man finding the hots for Armie Hammer of all people was wildly overrated. Beautiful Boy, a true story about a young man addicted to drugs and a father trying to help him. Great acting, if not a repetitive story structure. Little Women, another iteration of the famed book that no one needed, and Bones and All, also from Guadagnino, about a pair of lovebird cannibals that was an allegory for addiction. Not Guadagnino's worst, but hardly anything to write home about. None of these movies were anything that I could connect with. I don't necessarily blame Chalamet for it, it's not like he wrote the stories, but he was such a talent that other filmmakers were desperate to show how good he was, and they weren't giving him anything to showcase that. Sure, I liked Interstellar, Lady Bird, and Hostels well enough, but hell if I remember what roles he had in any of them. He wasn't the standout actor. But then the fateful year of 2021 came along and changed everything. Back-to-back wins in both Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch and Denis Villeneuve's Dune, Part 1. This 1 year made me a believer. I previously said that I found Chalamet to be pretentious. Well, when it came to The French Dispatch, it leaned into that as he played a college student who thought he understood the world. He was hilarious, and his brand of acting worked wonders with Anderson's brand of directing.
Or anyway, will you proofread it? My parents think you're a good writer.
Give it to me.
And Dune. What can be said about Dune? It was fantastic, restrained, mature for a sci-fi. And at last, Chalamet played a character that felt like a real person, and I couldn't wait for the upcoming sequel. I'm not the least bit curious about his upcoming Wonka film, but you never know, I guess. With the way things are going for him, it could very well be a win.
Guess I'm not in the mood today.
Mood? What's mood to do with it? You fight when the necessity arises, no matter the mood. Now fight!
Number 3. Josh Gad. When I tell you that for the longest time I despised Gad as an actor, I really did. And we can all take a pretty solid guess as to when that started.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Olaf was the sole reason that I have been a devout Tangled fan over Frozen. He was ruthlessly annoying, and the Olaf-centric shorts did nothing to quell my disdain, but rather bolstered it. Beyond that, Pixels, the Angry Birds movies, A Dog's Purpose, never saw the sequel, Frozen 2, and his forgettable performance in Beauty and the Beast and Artemis Fowl, this guy was relentlessly unfunny, not charming, and really got under my skin nearly every time I saw him. So, it must come as a surprise that there's 2 movies that he did that I enjoyed. Well, go figure, it's because he wasn't playing comedic roles. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Murder on the Orient Express and Marshall. Personally, I thought Orient was underrated, and if there's anything that Kenneth Branagh can do as a director is bring out the best performance in his actors. And with both Daisy Ridley and Gad needing a win to demonstrate their talents, he accomplished that. But the real standout was Marshall. Gad was downright amazing in this 2017 biopic of Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, which also starred the gone too soon Chadwick Boseman. He played his role straight, and I have been thoroughly convinced that the man should have been a dramatic actor, not a comedic one. He proved himself to me, he hasn't proven it since, but I know he can do it.
Doubt. The doubt, my friends, is overwhelming.
Number 2. Awkwafina. Nora Lum got my attention for all the wrong reasons when she appeared in Ocean's 8, the Sandra Bullock Ocean's movie that was a quasi-sequel / reboot of the George Clooney Ocean movies. Awkwafina was, at the time, forgettable, but that changed big time not long after. Mostly because of her next role that catapulted her into mainstream stardom, Crazy Rich Asians. Frankly, I didn't get what other people saw in her. She was loud, annoying, brutally not funny. She might as well have been an Asian Kevin Hart, who was already a discount Chris Rock, who was already a similar act to Chris Tucker. 2 movies in and I was royally sick of Awkwafina. Should have named herself Dasani.
should check with me before you talk.
Since her acting was as bad as that sewage, they have the gall to call water. She was totally forgettable in the likes of Neighbors 2, Sorority Row, Storks. Oh my god, she was so forgettable in that, but I love that movie so very much. Angry Birds 2, Jumanji: The Next Level, SpongeBob, Sponge on the Run, Raya and the Last Dragon, and dear God, she was obnoxious in Little Mermaid. Okay, yeah, I liked Shang-Chi enough, and I think The Bad Guys is an underrated animated flick from last year, but she was not at all the reason why I liked them. But yes, there are a few movies that I enjoyed with her. This year's Renfield is one of my favorite flicks of the year, and I might not say she's the most instrumental reason why. I credit the two Nicholases for that, but I admit that she was pretty fun and had a legit character arc that I empathized with. As for legit enjoying her, there's two flicks that come to mind. The lesser of the two was Breaking News in Yuba County. I understand that this wasn't generally well liked, but I found it, well, rather stupid, yes, but that stupidity was its main appeal for me. So, I liked it, and Awkwafina stood out, playing this hit girl, trying to prove her worth to her crime boss father. And there's this scene with Allison Janney that had me in stitches, as she low-key threatens her. The whole scene is so awkward that I couldn't help but love it.
Do you, want us to help you find Carl?
But as for a bona fide great performance out of her that made her a revelation, then you need only to look at the indie darling, The Farewell. Genuinely one of the best films of 2018, Awkwafina plays a young woman who finds out that her grandmother is dying. Making up an excuse for the entire family to get together to see her one last time, Awkwafina's character struggles to not say anything while she spends time with her grandma. It's an emotional powerhouse, and at long last, she just plays a person, a real person with real emotions, a real personality, real problems. Frankly, the heaps of praise she was getting was deserved. Ever since, it's been a mixed bag of wanting to see more of her, but more of her actually showing off her talent. She hasn't hit that high point since, Yuba County excluded. But the day that I learned she's got good, meaty roles that'll entertain or move me, I'm so there.
And then we just moved to the States. Everything was different. Everyone was gone. It was just the three of us.
And my number one, Will Ferrell. Dear God, my manager's gonna hate me forever. Let's be real with this one. I hate Will Ferrell as an actor. Let's clear that one up too. In the real world, I hear he's a really chill and nice dude. As far as I know, this man is the most likable person on this list. But as an actor, I can't with him. And it all started with Elf. Look, if you like this movie, more power to you. But I personally thought it was juvenile and utterly unfunny. He just seemed like he was trying to act like Adam Sandler, a man-child. But instead of being the violent brute, he's a coward. Both Anchorman movies, Kicking and Screaming, Talladega Nights, Blades of Glory, Step Brothers, Get Hard, both Daddy's Homes, Zoolander 2, The House, Holmes and Watson, and Barbie, all anti-comedies, and several of them I saw in the cinema and desperately wanted to walk out of. Yeah, okay, I enjoyed the original Zoolander back in the day, but not because of him. Same goes for Wedding Crashers, The Producers, The Other Guys, which I adored, more for Mark Wahlberg and the legendary dual cameos of The Rock and Sam Jackson.
And we do it again and again.
Hey, you shut your face! If we want to hear you talk, I will shove my arm up your ass and work your mouth like a puppet.
Aim for the bushes.
Eventually, I conceded that it was easier to tolerate Ferrell if he wasn't the lead, and more of a support character. That realization came in the form of the Lego Movie. He played the villain, and frankly, he was funny. And that ending with him and his on-screen son, that was legitimately heartfelt. I finally understood. Ferrell was a good actor when given the right material, and wasn't the star. I started looking back on some of his work and realized there were projects that he did and I thought were hilarious. Both Austin Powers movies where he plays Mustafa and... oh, nope, that was it. But the time has come. I wrote the title, and I meant it. There is one movie that he starred in that I thought was a great film. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if this is one of the more forgotten flicks in his library, Stranger Than Fiction. A tax auditor realizes he's the subject of a story by an author's disembodied voice, and he is destined to die.
What? Why?
And he can't do anything to stop it, as the author doesn't know her story is real. It's nothing like Ferrell's other work. He plays his characters straight and mostly reacts like a normal person given the supernatural circumstances. Ferrell himself is charming, fun, likable, and has never left my mind as a reminder that as much as I can't stand his work, his brand of comedy, credit where credit is due, I genuinely love Stranger Than Fiction.
You baked those cookies for me, didn't you? You were just trying to be nice, and I totally blew it.
And one final caveat, post-script writing, I did see Strays, and Will Ferrell was actually pretty good in it. It's very cartoonish, but I think that's kind of the point. Honestly, Will Ferrell should just stick to voice acting. That's where he excels, in my opinion. Thanks for joining me on my little test, guys. Hope it worked out well enough for you. Have a great day, stay safe and healthy out there, and hope to see you soon.
Later than you think, so be cool. Just relax. So be cool.